Hi, everyone. We're going to be starting our meeting now. If everyone could put their devices away, Kate. Okay. Yeah, there's still some people filing in. And if you are just coming in, I believe we do have a sign-in sheet over there. Is that correct, Janie? Yeah. So if you guys haven't already, if you guys want to go over it and do the sign-in. But anyways, we are hereby calling this meeting to action at what time is it? We're calling this meeting to action at 6:08. All right. So again, has everyone here signed in? Yeah, no one has not signed in. Okay, great. Next, I guess we can just approve the agenda. Agenda is this up here, I believe. You guys were also sent a copy of the agenda over email. Is that correct, Janie? Yeah. Okay. So every meeting before the meeting starts, Janie does usually send out those agendas in case you want to look over them beforehand. But yeah, so I will motion to approve the agenda for today. Would someone like to second that motion?
I second that motion.
Cool. Do we have to vote on the? Okay. Yeah. Are there any objections to this motion? No. Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All right. That sounds like a lot of people. Cool. Next is we have to approve the.
You have to do
Oh,
nays
again,
and then you have to do abstentions.
What?
You have to do nays and then you have to do abstentions. To abstain.
Like people who aren't voting. Okay, got it. All who object say nay. Okay, all abstentions say, what did they say? Okay, all abstentions say I abstain. No? Okay, great. Cool. Next, we're gonna approve the September minutes. Were the minutes sent out in email? Or? Okay, cool. I will motion to approve the September minutes. Would someone like to second this motion?
I second that motion.
All in favor of approving the September minutes, please say aye. All against, say nay. All abstentions, say I abstain. No? Okay, great. Moving on. Now we are going to have a public comment section. I believe the process is, and Janie can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are an individual, you have 3 minutes to give a public comment. Again, for future reference, if you guys want to do public comment, you can always just show up to our meeting and do it, but you can also email it in beforehand. If you are a recognized community organization, I believe you get 5 minutes. Is that okay? Cool. Yeah. So at this time, if anyone would like to do public comment, you're welcome to maybe come up here and present it, or you can just stand up. Oh, do you want to use the cool microphone thing? Okay. I think there's a mic. Is there not? Oh, never mind. No microphone. Speak loudly. Okay, anyone feel free to fill in on this. I think what we could do is, of course, for officer groups, I believe how we were planning on organizing officer groups, and we're going to go into this today, like officer groups is our main thing today, but we have 6 officers and we were thinking of doing 2 of us to an officer group. So right now, as you guys all saw on the form over Discord, ideally we had everyone fill out a form saying, you know, this is my first choice for officer group, this is my second choice for officer group. The current ones that we have so far are environmental, civics, and the last one is what? Cultural events. Yeah, so we were discussing about this art and music officer group because we know that there has been interest in doing such a thing. I think there are 2 options right now. The first thing, as you mentioned, is to perhaps start a separate committee, in which case we could look into how to divvy that up among officers so that we do have like an officer liaison in that group. The other option is we do use that as a focus within the cultural events group, because we definitely think that there are alignments in there, because we are like, just to clarify, for cultural events, it's not necessarily like highlighting a specific culture. It's more of just like anything cultural in the sense of like arts or music, whatever, that has to do with different cultures, or, just in general. So I'm wondering if that's something which could be a possibility. Of course, you don't have to make a decision on the spot for this, but I think what we can do, and if you guys have ideas, let me know. But I was thinking, when we go into the officer group segment of today's meeting, what we're going to do is we're going to split up into the officer groups that people decided on. I would say go to the cultural officer group, which I believe is being headed today by Hong Ying. Is that you? Yeah. Okay. And I would say within that group, maybe discuss it and see if your objectives align with that group's objectives. And if so, maybe we can look into using that arts and music focus like within that group. If the objectives don't align, then we can look into making a separate group. How does that sound?
Also, I think another thing that we can do is when we break out into officer groups today, you can check with the multicultural group to see if the majority of the interest is within that officer group. I think it might be a good idea to absorb the two, but if you notice that there's interest across all of the groups, we could maybe send out a form like after this meeting or something. And if there's interest across all of the groups, then maybe it'll be a better idea to create a separate one.
Of course, according to our bylaws, you can motion to create a new committee, and if it passes, it will be created with Monit and I being unofficial members by default. Most of those activities would occur outside because we do have office groups set up. But if you would be willing to work with people outside of regular meetings and perform tasks, we'd be glad to help you there too.
Yeah, I think one last thing I'll add is if you do want a motion to create an officer group, again, that's totally fine. I think what we should do is let's come back to that. We are expecting to have time after the officer group segment in the schedule, even though it shows it as the last thing in the schedule. So I think let's come back from that. And then if you still see that there's a need for it, we can either go the route of sending out a form, or you can just motion to create a committee. How does that sound? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any other public comments for now?
If you're online, you can raise your hand in the webinar if you have public comment. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, good.
Is there any way to like put them on this?
I mean, no one has public comment.
What?
No. So they're like not sharing. It's a webinar.
Oh,
We can talk about it offline.
Got it.
No.
Okay. Cool. So next, I believe we have staff updates. So Janie, Summer. Yeah.
All right. We have 3 signups for people volunteering, so we need more. The pumpkin party on the plaza event is next Thursday. It would be after school for y'all. It's from 4 to 6, but if you can come early around 3 to sign up, that would be great. If you can't come at 3, let us know when you can show up so we know when to look for you. So the event will be out here on the plaza. This is where you would come to check in. There's going to be 12 tents lined up. Each one is going to have like kids can come, trick or treat. It's kind of like a trunk or treat, but it's tents. And then there's going to be one main activity tent where kids can stop, decorate some cookies, take that cookie with them, continue on their way. There's going to be a heck ton of pumpkins. 1 metric ton, you said? 1 metric ton. And then 2 giant pumpkins for and hay bales for photo ops. It's going to be cop cars because kids like those kinds of things. And then if you want to just stay late to help clean up, you can register for both. If you can only come to clean up, you can do that one. Anyway, this is a QR code that'll take you to the volunteer link. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
First put it out because we thought we would lose a lot of kids in the group. So we thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for you to volunteer. So we haven't put it out to the public yet.
But if you have like a friend that can come with you, that'd be okay. Yeah. Rachel. Yeah. So story time. The YMCA's event is on this Saturday, and it is also called the Boo Bash. So we rebranded to Pumpkin Party on the Plaza. Yeah. hmm Yeah. No. Yeah. Any other questions? Rad. Other updates, we have shirts. So if you didn't get one at the fall retreat, if you weren't at the fall retreat, you can stop by and get one before you leave. It is our youth board shirt, and that's it. Thanks, Monette.
Cool. And also, I think we are counting that volunteer event as an event credit. Is that correct? Okay, yeah. And just a reminder to everyone, we are going to require 3 event credits from everyone throughout the year if you are planning on reapplying to be an SYB member next year. And even if you like are a graduating senior or you're not planning to reapply next year, it's still great if you do participate in 3 event credits and encourage your friends to do the same. Okay, and also, do you guys know if we've sent out the link to that in the Discord to the city event?
Yeah, so the sign up link is in the Discord under community events, I think.
Cool. Yeah, so next we are going to go over the bylaws. So I believe we did the bylaws at the retreat. So for those of you, was there anyone who couldn't make the retreat? If you could raise your hands. Okay, so there's a couple of you. Yeah, so bylaws are again just like the city rules for the Sammamish Youth Board. They dictate what our rules and responsibilities are, such as like how many meetings you have to attend, how many event credits you need, like what our authority is. Like if we, for example, want to send a letter to the city council or represent our views on different issues to different community organizations, what those processes look like, and to the extent that we can represent ourselves as a body. So we went over the bylaws at our retreat as a group, and we decided to make certain amendments, or we proposed certain amendments. However, in order to amend the bylaws, we do have to motion to approve the bylaws at an official SYB meeting, which the retreat was not technically under. So we're going to be doing that today. As for the bylaws, I'm wondering, Janie, is that something we want to pull up right now? I think that'd be great. And I don't know, were the edits already added to the bylaws? I believe we did that at our officer meeting. Do you remember? Okay. And the other question I had is, should we, I'm guessing we should motion to approve each edit independently.
That'll take so long. If
Yeah.
we can do them all at the same time, that'd be great.
Okay.
And so way motions work, someone can say, I motion to do it as is, and someone seconds it. And then there's a discussion period. So if someone wants to amend that motion, at that point, you can request to go line by line.
Okay, are the red underlined items the edits that we made? Okay, cool. So how do you guys want to do this? Like if we read it out loud like we did last time, it might be a little bit of a pain. So I'm gonna let you guys read through that, and then Janie, if you want to maybe just like scroll through it slowly.
Also in your email too.
Yeah. Did anyone not get a chance to read it in the email? If you want to raise your hands. Okay, if you did read it in the email, raise your hand. Okay, so most people did, a couple of people didn't. So let's go through this.
Do you want me to go through it just so we're all going at the same, or you can just be like, this is the change we made. Section 3, this is the change we made. So we're all
Actually,
together.
to save time, we prefer if you could just if you haven't read it, can you just pull it up briefly and look at the changes?
Yeah, how much time do you guys need to go through the? I mean, is anyone actually going through it right now? Yeah, does anyone need more time to go through it? Raise your hands. No, okay, great. Are there any? So at this point, we're assuming that everyone has looked through the section because nobody said that they need more time to go through the edits that we made. In which case, I suppose I motion to approve the bylaw edits as is. Would anyone like to second that motion? Cool.
What's your name? Sorry.
Could you repeat that louder? We're just taking minutes, so that's good to know. Okay, and now, as Jenny said, there is a discussion period. If anyone would like to amend that motion, for example, if you want to accept some edits, but you have some concerns about others, now is the time to voice them. Any concerns? No? Okay, then I suppose we can vote to approve the motion that we just seconded, which would be if anyone, for everyone who wants to approve the motion that we just made to approve all the edits as is, say aye. Okay, anyone who objects, say nay. Anyone who abstains, say I abstain. Great. All right. So it looks like all the edits, to the bylaws are approved. So I guess the next step is now that we as the Sammamish board have officially amended the bylaws, we have to submit them to the city council for approval. Janie, do you know by when we might hear back from the city council?
Yeah, so we have to, well, I have to write it and we have to amend the resolution. We have to repeal the old one and then pass a new one. We have to get the city attorney to review it, and then I have to get my boss to look at it. And then council will look at it. I would guess springtime.
Okay, so it'll be a while.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay, cool. And nothing else for us to do in this whole bylaw process?
No, this is it. Yeah, just that long because it takes, whenever I'm like ready to be like, okay, it's going on council, we're ready to go, it's still a month out. And so, and then in December, they don't meet every time because of the holidays, blah, blah, blah. So probably like February, like early, that's still winter. Yeah, okay, late winter.
Great. Before we move on, I just want everybody to recognize that we as the Sammamish board just unanimously voted to amend actual city legislation, which is kind of a big deal. So let's have a small round of applause for you guys. Yeah. Yeah, I know that was pretty lame, but let's move on now. Okay. Next slide, Janie, please. Yeah, thank you. Okay, cool. So now this is going to be the bulk of our meeting today. For a while now, we have been talking about officer groups and what that means. So basically, these are similar to committees like we have sort of played around with in the past few years. But this is really something that we haven't done to its full extent in a couple of years now, especially while we've been online. So what we wanted to do this year is really formalize this process of having committees, each one led by probably 2 officers. There are 6 of us here, so we were aiming for 3 officer groups. Of course, this could change if, for example, there is like a separate arts and music officer group that comes up. Or again, if any of you at any point in your motion to create a new officer group, there is the potential for a new officer group being created. As it stands right now, we are looking to have officers for every officer group, but of course, if at some point, for some reason, we have like too many, we could maybe look into having just like member run officer groups. But for now, we have 3. So instead of me introducing them, Arna, do you want to go ahead and talk about them?
Okay, well, yeah, the 3 that are there, they're on the form. If you haven't already filled out the form, you should probably fill it right now. So it's on the screen. So the one that Maya and I are going to be running, it's kind of surrounding different environmental ideas. So different like projects related to that. Then the one that Hanning and Karin are going to be running is what we were originally calling the cultural and community events. Same thing, it's subject to change possibly, but yeah, that's what it is. And then you want to add something? No, okay. And then the last one we have is Kevin and Segunya are going to be running that one, and that is about civics. So things like voter registration, our town hall event we had last year, things like that. So what we're doing it right now, breaking up. No, right now. Okay.
Yeah. So just a bit more detail about what we're going to be doing today for officer groups. Again, is there anyone here who has not filled out the officer group form yet? Just raise your hand and then we can give you guys a couple more minutes. Okay, cool. There's a couple of people. How much time do you guys think you need? Like,
Does everybody who hasn't filled out the form have a phone on them?
oh, that's a little awkward. Yeah. Do you
The
wanna...
QR code is also there.
Yeah, so this is for the form. If you want to do that right now, Discord, Kavia's, I think, gonna try to add you right now. If you want to. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say pick it for now, just so we have a general idea of like groups for everyone. But like again, if you fill out the form and say you want something, and then later on you come up to us and are like, oh no, I want to switch groups, that is okay. Probably like we'll accommodate for that. The main thing is that we just don't want 30 people to like be going around and changing officer groups every meeting. So try to pick the ones that you think you'll be pretty consistent with. And as for what these officer groups mean, the reason we're especially going to be especially flexible about it today is because we know that you guys don't have a whole lot of information on what we're going to be doing in each officer group. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So after we go over all these announcements about what we're doing today, we're going to split into officer groups and maybe take up to like 30 minutes in each officer group. So if you filled out the form, just go to whichever group, whichever officers you chose to be with for that committee. What we're going to do is, if for example one group has way too many people and then one group has like 2 people, that's why we did ask you guys to put your second choices in the forms, in which case we can go through and first of all, just ask anyone in like the larger groups if you want to join the smaller group. Otherwise, there's still a discrepancy there. We can go through and assign some people to their second choice committees. The main thing that we're going to be doing today is when we split up into officer groups, we're going to be talking about what we plan to do in each group. For some of our proposed officer groups, so environmental, civics, and cultural community events, we have some projects in mind. For example, I believe the civics group is definitely has a focus on like voter registration, which comes like later in, when does that coffee, like the spring or springtime? So obviously like there's a lot of time until then. So you guys can start planning out a project and maybe even like drafting up a timeline of what your committee wants to do until the voter registration kicks in. For the environmental committee, we do have a project idea about environmental education, which in specifically the Lake Washington School District, as well as other schools in the area, for example, Skyline and Eastside Catholic. And then for environmental, I know we were talking about potentially doing more restoration events, for example, like we did with the garden. Any of you who were here last year at a retreat last year, we did like like blackberry bushes? Yeah. So restoration events like that, we could potentially organize events like that with different schools, different honor societies. And then for the community cultural and community events group, Hong Yang, are there any existing projects for that? Or?
We're going to be like working together a lot of cultures this year. Karan's going to spearhead something for Diwali. And most importantly, we'll also be making sure that a lot of holidays, especially the ones that are represented by cultures within SIB, are being celebrated properly and such.
Yeah, and of course, depending on what happens with the arts and music proposed officer group, that might be amended as well. But yeah, so today we do want to focus on when you're in your committees, officers will be leading that, so don't worry too much about that. But our goal is not only on informing you guys on what's happening, but also we want everyone to actively participate in drafting up a timeline, first of all. So I don't know, Janie, do we have any spare paper lying around, or should we use the whiteboards? Okay, that'd be great. How much paper should? Oh, like, do you guys want to? Oh, yeah. Then maybe I think the flipboard paper would be good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're going to go through those. We want to make sure each committee has a timeline. That's the main thing we do want, because we do have meetings only once a month, right? So things can move pretty slowly if we're not doing stuff outside. So we want to make sure that each committee knows, like, everyone has roles, everyone has delegated roles and knows what they're doing. And then what we're going to do after officer groups is we're going to come back. We're going to finalize what's happening with the arts and music officer group. And then we're going to go through and create a master timeline for Sammamish Youth Board, at least for over the next few months, so that we all have an idea of what each group is doing, and as well as like overall SYB events. And in that case, once we get back to that, if you want to change like your committee, we can see if that's possible. Does anyone have any questions or concerns or ideas before we go into that? No? Okay, do you guys have anything else you guys wanted to talk about before we split into groups?
Well, I just wanted to add that as officers, we've been like kind of drafting up some ideas. But if you feel you have any ideas for events or things you just want to run it as Sammamish Youth Board that might fall under the committee, like our officer group overviews, still go there and like talk about that, because we are definitely want to incorporate your ideas as well.
Okay, I think what we should do is, while we're waiting for Jaden to get paper, I think everyone maybe just stay seated for now, like, talk to the people around you. We're gonna sort through some of the form responses right now, make sure that we don't have like any committees with like no interest in them, and then we'll get back to you. So for now, just stay seated. You guys can talk and stuff, but we'll wait for Janie's paper.
Huh? Yeah, that's the plan. Okay, we're gonna split up into officer groups right now. So if you're in we're gonna do it based on first choice for now. This is just temporary though. If you guys are in civics, go to that back corner over there. Cultural over here in the front, and then And then what was the other one? Environmental over here. Okay, thank you.
Monit, if you guys want to go into conference rooms, you can. This is an office building. All right. So there's an executive session room. It's pretty big behind here. So how about environmental go in there? Okay.
three big aspects this year. One is working on actual community events, including cultural events for cultural holidays. Another big aspect we're going to do is supporting people in creating their own clubs at schools, such as Asian Cultural Club at STEM. And the third thing we're going to do is recognizing indigenous people, including like also like making better resources about their different tribes in our region and recording things for reference and for preservation.
Cool. Can you want to go next?
Okay, so for civics, talked about like different things we can do a part of the community, like voter registration. We talked about doing like people with campaigns, talked about like, doing town halls, just that kind of stuff, and really like what it means to be a part of the group, and like how we're gonna create more awareness about civic like events and stuff like that in Sammamish within our community, and like targeting different people to increase more awareness about those kinds of things.
I have a follow-up question. You said helping people with campaigning.
Yes, sorry. That I meant like reaching out with companies and like basically helping people to connect with those companies, not us specifically affiliating with those campaigns.
Okay.
That makes
Yeah, we just have
sense.
to be really
Yes.
careful toeing the line there. Okay. When in doubt, please ask before you do it.
Okay, and then for the environmental committee, some updates. Again, we have like a lot of projects going on, so I know that we didn't get to go through everything, but we are going to be creating. We were talking about maybe creating a specific, first of all, committee channels on the Discord. So if any of the committees have more information or stuff you want to follow up on, once we have those channels up in the Discord, you can do that. Hunging, do we want to keep? Let's keep those channels public so that like everyone can see them, but just like talk about committee stuff in those channels. For the environmental thing, our main projects that were upcoming, we discussed having first of all some sort of environmental education app or website that we're going to be pushing out through schools in the area. First, we're going to have to develop content, then maybe partner with some different organizations on creating a platform, and then using this to encourage environmental education on the east side. So that was the first thing, which is probably going to be a really big thing. So information on that, there is like stuff already going on there. So I'm going to push it out on the Discord, and maybe there might already be some calls to action. Again, I want to specify that like I know that there's a lot of seniors on the board this year, and you guys should all be focusing on your college app. So I do not expect any of you to be doing any sort of committee work right now. Just get that over with. But the rest of you, if you do want to start doing stuff, that'd be great. So that's the first project. Other thing is we did talk about doing some sort of community gardens. So Eastlake, I believe Horticulture Club, courtesy of Shri, is already doing community garden stuff. So we're talking about bringing Sammamish board in to maybe help facilitate some of that, managing those gardens, and then they could be more of a partnership between like Eastlake clubs as well as like Sammamish board. We were also thinking of bringing this community garden thing to other schools with a partnership through SYB, in which case, we'd work together on SYB to manage these gardens and manage partnerships. For example, in like donating food grown at the gardens, in actually growing and maintaining the gardens. So right now there was some interest in bringing one to Inglewood, which might be a cool next step. But just stay on the Discord. We'll put all the updates on there. If you guys have any updates on what happens with horticulture clubs at Inglewood or Eastlake, just put that straight in the Discord. And then other than that, we did briefly start talking about having some sort of like environmental film contest for students in the area later this year, which might be maybe more in the spring or something. We still need to flesh out the details on that, but again, information on the Discord. And finally, for the environmental committee specifically, and probably for other committees as well, we highly recommend scheduling meetings with your officers outside of SYB meetings, which happen monthly. So for example, environmental committee, we're going to be sending a when to meet link in our committee channel when we get the chance. And everyone, if you could fill that out as soon as possible. We're trying to schedule an in-person meeting, maybe at like the library or something before our next SYB meeting. So keep an eye out for that. Any other updates for officer groups moving forward? Hung Ying, do you know what's happening with the arts and music thing? Did you guys discuss that?
I think Rachel came up with a few ideas. From what I could see from her planning, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you wanted to showcase local musicians at city events, such as like having people perform at what's it called, the farmers market, also at Christmas time and things like that.
I need to interject here about the arts. We do have a Sammamish Arts Commission, and anything we do that it has to do with arts, we can't like step on their toes. So if we like threw an arts fair, we would have to work with the Arts Commission. So just as you create your committee, just keep in mind there may be extra red tape to get through. And if you want a motion, just do it.
Although did
Just
you
go for it.
create, did you have an arts grant from time to time, which could help you with any events you want to make?
Well, mm. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I think I need to ask the director of our department, because in the past we've thought about doing like artistic recreation events, and then we couldn't do them because it would be an arts commission thing. So I'm sorry, I should have told you guys at the beginning of the meeting. Okay.
So should we try to make the
Sorry.
committee, or should we? Because the committee can do stuff even with.
How about you make the committee so you can like start planning, because I think it'll be okay. And then if it's not, I'll have to renege on that later. So, but Rachel, if you want a motion, you can say I motion to create, and someone can second.
Okay.
Cool. All in favor of creating an officer group for arts and music, please say aye. All against, say nay. All who abstain, say I abstain. Okay, cool. Then I guess we have a group committee, a committee created for that. In terms of next steps, again, Janie's going to check in on that whole arts thing. Other than that, if we want to, I guess there's a couple of different ways we could go about it. We could have an officer like to help manage that, or maybe like you could manage that on your own. We probably do want some sort of officer involvement just so we can coordinate with other groups. So I don't know, officers, do you guys have any ideas?
For the most part, to start with, Rachel, you can manage personnel selection, who you want on your team, and how things like that will work. Oh, and according to our bylaws, like Amanda and I can set who the lead is, and it's gonna be you. Yeah. So then you can start with that. Any activities that you guys can do, just plan it out and talk with us about it. But most of your meetings will have to occur outside of regular meeting times, because our regular meeting times do have other things scheduled. So if you would be willing to do that, that would be wonderful.
Cool. Okay. Other than that, I know I gave a bunch of updates about the projects that we're doing for environmental committee. We went around and did that. Do you guys have any updates for the other officer groups and how you're going to be getting information out?
If any of you are interested in doing, I know I already sent out a message, but I don't have the names. If any of you are interested in doing the city hall update and you're not a part of the civics officer group, can you please come and write your name on this paper before you leave, so I can add you to our channel anyway, so that you can get all the information about that.
Do you want to explain what the city hall update is?
Basically, it's just people sitting in on the city hall meetings. Not every single one of them, but the ones that are relevant to SYB, and then basically consolidating all of that information and then presenting it to SYB at the next meeting. And we're going to start doing this at every meeting, just so that we can stay up to date on what the city's doing. And you can get volunteer hours for this if that's something you're interested in.
You also get like event credit for yeah. For
Okay.
participating.
And then Hong Ying and Javier Sugunya, will you guys be sending out scheduling links for meetings before our next SYB meeting?
Yeah, we're creating a Discord channel.
Right.
Yeah, we'll
so
do
you'll
that,
be
and
doing
I will work with Karan more.
Okay.
So get him up to date and see what he has in mind.
Cool. Sounds good. Do we have any questions on officer groups or next steps for any of you in terms of committees, like before our next meeting? Yeah. Yeah. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can theoretically be part of every committee, but we do not want to like overwork you. Like we'll if you're gonna be part of both committees, please like do commit to both, do everything that is expected from both, and knowing that it is like more work on your part.
Yeah, I'm thinking what we can do is Hung Ying, you're like our Discord mod here. So I think what we should do is we can maybe put something in the announcements channel where people can react with like an emoji for like which role they want to do. And then we can like assign roles on Discord. So that way it's easy for everyone to keep track of who's in what committee. And yeah, again, the committee channels will be open to the public. So if any of you guys want to get involved in a project from a committee that you are not involved in, that is completely okay as well. You don't even have to join the committee to do that. But yeah, any last questions, concerns about officer groups? No? Okay, cool. Then yeah. Oh,
Not a question, but if you guys are like trying to find locations to meet outside, you can use city hall locations. Just let me know and I can help you guys get a room.
are there any like particular dates or like restrictions on that?
No, but if the room's already reserved, then
Yeah.
it's already reserved, so let me know ahead of time.
Cool.
So is there anything else? Any other questions or comments? No, if not, then I motion to adjourn the meeting.
One last thing, actually, I want to confirm. So city events coming up. There is the what's it called again? The pumpkin thing. Pumpkin party on the plaza. Yeah. So that is October 27th, right? Okay. And the link is in the Discord for any of you guys who haven't signed up yet. Were there any other city updates? I forgot. No? Okay. Cool. Yeah, so that's our upcoming event. Again, that is separate from the YMCA Boo Bash. Just keep that in mind. You can sign up for both, but yeah.
Oh,
But-
and also Trunk or Treat is no longer part of SIB. It's with East Lake Jog Club, I believe it's. So Trunk or event, Trunk or Treat was what SIB called our event last year. Now it's with some other club, and so if you want to do that, that's great. But just like that's not the SIB event.
yeah, East Lake Trunk or Treat is not SYB Trunk or Treat. Those are separate things. Okay. Cool. That is everything. Yeah. So you motion to adjourn, right?
Yeah, does anyone second the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Alright.
Okay, I second the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Right,
All in
if there
favor.
are no, sorry,
do we
if
have to-
there are like no objections,
Oh, okay.
no, then the meeting is adjourned. Can you
Cool.
close the meeting?
All right. I'm gonna hit the gavel. Boom. All right. See ya.